Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to What Even Is Life with me, your host, Brandon Owens. Yep, I'm back with a new podcast episode, and I'm so excited. And I have an extra special guest today. She is a transfer from University of Michigan Flint. She now serves as a double major in music education and vocal performance here at Oakland University. She is officially one of my homegirls. I love her dearly. She's like a brand new sister to me, and she is probably one of my favorite people I've ever got to know. Please welcome Brynna.
Thank you for having me.
Of
You're so sweet.
course. Welcome to the pod.
I'm gonna be so for real. I
Mhm.
have been so excited to do this. I listen to your podcast when I'm like out on a walk or I'm running.
Oh my god,
It keeps me
really?
so entertained.
Oh
And
my
so when
god.
when I was low key like kidding around, like, oh my gosh, you should have me on your podcast.
Uh-huh.
And when you were like, yeah, when and where, I was like, yes, oh my gosh, I've been waiting for this.
No, people don't realize all you gotta do is simply ask, and I'll
Yeah.
be like, "Sure, when and where.
Yeah.
Let's get it popping for
So
sure."
this is a little later than we initially expected it to be, but it's
Yeah,
happening
it's a long
and
time coming, but
yes.
here we are.
Yes, and I'm very excited to do this.
Yay. Y As you know, I like to let my guests pick the topic, and this topic is called wait, what is it called?
Oh, we're doing the to be seen is to be heard topic.
Yes, and why did you pick that one?
So, for those who do know me, I am a huge hockey fanatic. My dad, I can vividly remember watching hockey games with my dad in our basement at the, ripe age of 5. I've been going to games all my life. I have, when the Joe, RIP the Joe, was still functional and was the home for the Red Wings, I remember going to, my first game with my parents, and I have a lunchbox that they gave me that had, a little mini Zamboni in it,
Oh,
and, I
wow.
still have that, and I treasure it to this day. So, yeah, hockey's a huge thing for me. So that being said, I'm sure a lot of people have seen the, really popular show that's circulating right now. It's definitely in your algorithm, it's on your feed, whether or
Mhm.
not you know it, the show Heated Rivalry.
Heated Rivalry.
If you haven't seen it, you need to. What are you doing with your life? Every
Mhm.
Donatella Versace has
Mhm.
watched it.
Yeah, I heard you say that. I was like, "Are you serious?"
Yes, it's that global. It's doing numbers right now, and
Mhm.
it only came to the US, a month ago, and it just got released in the UK. It's
Mhm.
doing really well there, and then yeah, I mean, this show was basically, $5 in a dream, baby. It
Yeah.
was not supposed to be as big as it is, but the reason why I wanted to talk about it is because it opened up a lot of opportunities and avenues for a lot of different people and has a lot of meaning, well, different interpretations and representational meanings
Yeah.
for a lot of different audiences. Um, and I personally was touched by it, and I know so many other people that were. And so I kind of wanted to talk about that and how those different opportunities that were brought out and made possible kind of relate to a lot of other things.
Mhm. And I remember when we were talking about, like, what we wanted to talk about, we talked about how, yes, the representation is good so far, but we also wanted to acknowledge how it can be more.
Yeah.
More can be represented. And I remember, like, with Heated Rivalry, it's the forefront is men loving men
Right.
relationships. And you talked to me about how TV shows should have more women loving women
Yeah,
relationships and how women should be also in the forefront just as much as the men
for
and not be
sure.
in the background. Can you elaborate more on that?
Yeah. So a lot of a lot of queer media, it seems as of late, at least within the last 10 years, that has done really well, has had that narrative of two leading men.
Mhm.
So ones that I can name off the top of my head that a lot of people seem to be familiar with is most recently Heated Rivalry, Heartstopper, Young Royals, Red, White, and Royal Blue. A big one that kind of I feel like really kickstarted everything was Call Me by Your Name.
Ooh,
I
that
mean,
was a good
obviously,
one. Yeah.
Brokeback Mountain, I think, is like a staple piece
I've
for a
actually
lot of
never seen it.
"Oh, babe, you've got to." Like, that was, like I feel like that, and then there's one with, is it River Phoenix and Keanu Reeves, My Personal Idaho? That one's
Really?
it's like that one is more so it's underneath the surface, like, it's on the DL.
Mhm.
It's very much yeah, DL,
Yeah.
MLM, but
Okay.
I think that and then Brokeback Mountain kinda kickstarted everything, but Call Me By Your Name, I feel like was the one piece of queer media that really set this, like, movement and, like, pushed it forward, and so anyways, I'm going down a rabbit hole,
No, like,
but
I'm living.
but I feel like a lot of the, like, really well done or well reciprocated queer media has been solely focused on male relationships, and
Yeah.
not to knock on it, like, it's definitely needed, especially in the, like, current climate we're in,
Mhm.
um, but it seems like even though it's intended for queer audiences, which is supposed to be, like, all inclusive,
Yeah.
it still feels like women or, like, female identifying characters and, like, the relationships and experiences they go through seem to kinda, like, be pushed back or pushed to the side. Like,
Yeah.
yes, like you mentioned earlier, it's, like, sprinkled in there to be like, "Hey, we included this." Like,
Right?
it is mentioned, like, it's almost as though they're just, like, checking a box,
Yeah.
but it's never really, like, the sole thing.
Yeah.
Like, really, the only one actually, no, this made me think. The one that's big most recently is within Yellow Jackets, the TV
Mhm.
series on is that HBO or no, it's not HBO,
It's
I don't
definitely on some sort of
yeah,
streaming site.
but that's, like, the big one I can think of recently. I was talking about this with someone earlier, is it Swag or Swat? I can't think of the show, I don't know.
Oh,
But you know what I'm talking about.
yeah, sorta
Yeah,
kinda. I don't
uh,
know, I thought I did, but,
yeah,
yeah.
but maybe someone else can, like, reach out and comment, whatever, be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you this was what you meant."
You're actually wrong.
Right, I can't think of it though, but I know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's got Odessa in it from Marty Supreme. It's that one I was talking about earlier.
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
I do, 'cause I know a lot of what she's a part of,
Yes.
'cause
So
I'm
yeah,
kinda obsessed with her.
yeah, 'cause she's bad as mm, she's a
Right,
baddie.
she's pretty, she's a baddie.
Mm,
Yes.
but so there's that one,
Mhm.
but then the only other one that, like, I can think of is I'm a Cheerleader, where she's
Oh,
like,
the one with Natasha
"I'm"
Lyonne?
yes, the "I'm a
Right.
home" that's really it. For,
Yeah.
like, I feel like
That's a really
notable WLW
that's a
relationships.
really good example, but the
Mhm.
fact that that movie came out in the late '90s,
And we haven't seen a whole lot of, like,
'cause that movie
female-based
yeah,
ones
'cause
as
that
of late.
yeah, 'cause that movie was a really good representation of, like, women loving women
Yeah.
relationships and then the struggles of that too, 'cause it kinda gave, in a way, not exactly Heated Rivalry vibe,
Mhm.
but just, like, 2 polar opposites of people with
Yeah.
2 different stories and how one, it's like, "Oh, my life is so perfect," like,
Mhm.
it can't be any way other than this, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
But, yeah, so I just thought it was really interesting that even though, like, it's supposed to be all-encompassing, all-inclusive,
Yeah.
it still feels like the male characters are still in the spotlight,
Yeah.
or they're what does the most, like, they bring in the revenue or I don't know, like, it just feels like it becomes more popular,
Yeah.
and you had touched on it, in a previous conversation where I don't remember what you said. It was something along the lines of, you were talking about how it seems as though yeah, like you mentioned, it's just, like, sprinkled in there, like, we
Mhm.
wanna have it just to include, but
Yeah.
it feels like there's this, like, hierarchy thing or, like, an archetype where the men are more deemed as important and, like, the women, yeah, you're there, but you
Mhm.
still it's a lesser known thing, which made me think of something I saw circulating on, like, a Twitter thread or something like that,
Yeah.
where people were, like, saying they were interviewing the cast of Heated Rivalry, and they were asking, "Why do you think this show resonates so much?" Like MLM, like, relationships and,
Mhm.
like, that part of queer media. Why do they feel like it really resonates with straight women, queer women, just female identifying people as a whole? Like, why do you think that is? And it was, like, on TikTok, and I've seen, like, a lot of people talk about it, but the best, like, interpretation of it that I saw that I personally do agree with as a woman is that it's nice to see a relationship where both people are on equal playing fields. Like, think
Yeah.
about your traditional heterosexual movie. Like,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter what it is, like The Notebook, whatever. Like, in a traditional male female relationship, there is a status difference, a ba- like
Yeah.
unbalance.
Yeah, yeah.
The man has significantly more control of the relationship than the woman does.
Mhm.
And it always seems as like, when people write, they're using out of dated like archetypes, tropes, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But it also feels like as a woman watching that part of like piece of media, it's almost as though we're kind of like put into a box where we have to identify and relate solely with the woman simply because we are women and we understand the female
Right.
experience.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, I guess I can only relate to her. Like the man, I'm not going to be able to like identify with the man. Whereas in the case of say Heated Rivalry, it's refreshing to see two men who are in a very like heavily masculine dominated field.
Right, right.
They're both professionals at what they do.
Mhm.
They do come from different backgrounds, but they have this shared sense of vulnerability.
Yeah.
They're both closeted gay men,
Mhm.
and well, Ilya's bisexual. Have to keep that
I'm
in.
about to say, yeah,
Yeah.
right?
Um, but even though they are essentially equals
Mhm.
in their more public life,
Yeah.
privately, they can also be equal, and they allow themselves to have this vulnerability, and it's, displayed through their own personal experiences with what, Shane feels in his home life, like how he feels he's able to communicate with his parents, with his friends, whatever. And then on the flip side, the vulnerability Ilya feels like very sheltered and like closed off because of his experience growing up in post-Soviet Russia.
Yeah.
And I think as audience members, especially as a female audience member, it's refreshing to see 2 characters be of equal status and to go through their own experiences and not feel the sense that I have to identify solely and relate solely to one or the other. Because at one point, I could be like, "Oh, I totally get what Shane's saying here." Or the next minute be like, "You know what? I've been through what Ilya's been going through. I totally get it." And it's just so I know I've said refreshing so many times, but, like,
I mean, but
it
it is
it it
though.
is,
It
like,
is though.
you don't feel confined to one or the other. It's
Mhm.
nice to have the option to be like, "Yeah, I get it. Like, I understand what you're saying." And there is also that sense of, like, they're on the same playing field. They're metaphorically and literally because 'cause they're
No,
professional hockey
no,
players.
literally, yeah.
Um, but they're both because they're both men, there isn't really, like, a power construct. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they are automatically equals, whereas, unfortunately, in society, women are seen as lesser than men, which we know is not the case, but I think that's what's just so enticing, I guess, for women to watch it is because we never get to experience that. And whether as an audience member or in our own lives, like, I just think I saw someone say it's enticing for female audience members because it's almost as though you get to, like, take a step out of reality and imagine what you're never going to be able to have. And I just thought that was I thought that was really moving, like and not just moving, but, it had me, stop in my tracks, and I was like, "Whoa." I was like, "Okay, yeah, you're so right." Like, I'm a woman, I'm never gonna know the male experience in the same way that a man's never gonna know the same experience I have. But to be able to, take a moment to step out of my life and just enjoy this piece of literature in a visual sense that explores those themes of vulnerability and connectiveness and just just I don't care, at the end of the day, it's 2 people in love,
Mhm.
and the fact that they are able to be seen as equals with one another, I think is so touching, and I think that's why women are so attracted to it, and I don't know, I feel like maybe if we saw that more in, say, a heterosexual relationship or
Yeah.
more women-based relationship films, movies, whatever, I feel like then maybe they would be more popular, people would watch it more, I don't know, but that's my take on it.
Yeah, you brought up a really valid point because, like, with the show like Heated Rivalry, they go through a 10-year situationship. Like, it's not like a movie where it's like they have, like, their rise and fall, their climax, and then they have, like, their ending. Like, even in the show, even if it's ending, spoiler alert, it doesn't end that pretty. Like, it has a pretty ending, but it's not, like, stereotypical.
Yeah.
Like, there's still a lot of baggage and everything they're holding on to,
Yes.
but in a way, it's kind of relieving because it's like, you know they're gonna work it out
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form, but there's also that uncertainty because, like, they're gonna go through hoops, especially because in, like, even in LGBTQ plus relationships, it's never that s not gonna s I almost said serious, I meant, like I didn't mean it like that, but, like, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
And with, like, heterosexual relationships, like, in movies,
Mhm.
it's so simple when it comes to the point of, like, storylines and tropes. Like, they have tropes for this stuff, you know? And, like, The Notebook is a pretty solid example. Like, they have their quarrels, they have their moments, but at the end, stereotypically, everything's gonna work out at the end. While with Heated Rivalry, it's like, "Oh, they're in love. Okay, now what? What's next?"
True.
Therefore.
Yeah. And the director, Jacob Chernery, what a guy. Like, he is an artist. He's
Mhm.
so good. I don't know if you've seen some of his other work, but he just has a way of depicting the scenes and, my god, just with the lighting choices he's done or
Mm.
the parallels in the scene, a couple of the scenes and how they, parallel one episode in the beginning of the series or the season, I should say, to, an episode later in the end of the season. I mean, he's just so meticulous with what he does, and there's always a purpose to what he does, and I think it just it was executed really well, and I
Mhm.
think that's another reason why the show has done well.
Yeah.
But what you were saying about, with a traditional, straight-based relationship film, there's usually going to be a happy ending. And Jacob specifically said in an interview, there's been too many LGBT-based films, books, whatever, where they don't get a happy ending. Like something tragic happens.
Yeah.
And he was like, "I wanna change that narrative because why does it have to be that way? Why does this one particular group of people have to always have the hardship and have to" I mean, everyone's gonna go through hardship,
Yeah.
but why can't they have a happy ending? So,
Exactly. Yeah.
he finally was like, "You know what? I'm gonna make this adaptation." I mean, because shout out Rachel Reed, you're a queen, love your work, babe. Um, was like, "You know what? This is great because you don't see most MLM, WLM, whatever pieces of media end up with happy endings."
Yeah.
And so, like you said, I mean, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this show, it is renewed for season 2.
Yay!
So, yes, the book/, season does have a sort of happy ending, it ends on a high note. they're gonna go through their hardships, like all
But
relationships.
to be honest,
Yeah.
watching the show, it's like,
S
they're not gonna get away with that daddy.
Yeah, of
Mhm.
course, because duh, they gotta draw you in for season 2. Um, but yeah, so I think that's a really important thing because we're talking about I mean, the title of this episode is "To be seen is to be heard." And I think that resonates with a lot of people in their own personal experiences because, everybody's gone through a relationship at some point that maybe didn't go the way you thought it was going to. And it doesn't matter if you're straight, gay, whatever.
Mhm.
You at least at one point or another have probably gone through something where you had this hopeful expectation and it just didn't go the way you wanted to.
Yeah.
And so for straight media, if you will, to only be able to have happy endings seems unfair.
It seems unrealistic
Yes.
too. Like
Girl, I'm half straight, so I can speak on that.
Mhm.
Let me tell you, as having gone through those kinds of relationships, they were not happy endings. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? Like, girl, I'm still single, and I've gone through at least 2 really, like, deep relationships. And yeah, they had their highs, but they also had their lows, and I
Right?
think that is more realistic than being like, "Yay, and they lived happily ever after at the end." You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I've never dated anybody, so it kinda I don't know, I struggle with, I understand how relationships work. I've
Yeah.
given tons of relationship advice before. Remember, I'm a coach, and, coaches don't play, right? But, I think that's why I do really like Heated Rivalry in that
Mhm.
sense of, like, it kinda just shows, like, relationships aren't gonna always be
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
And I think it should be represented that relationships aren't perfect.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to work it out, then it'll
Mhm.
be fine at least.
Yeah.
And I wish more movies, whether it's like LGBTQ plus or just straight heterosexual, just any movies overall, especially romantic ones,
Yeah.
kind of show that in a way.
Mhm.
But the thing is, like with all these movies and shows, when like it's gonna get bad, when
Yeah.
it's gonna happen, and then it's like next episode or like the next scene they made up.
Yes.
Like it's never that simple.
No.
I know for at least for a friend's sake, because
Mhm.
I've dealt with more friendships than relationships. It's never like "Oh, I love you, I miss you," after,
Yeah.
like and if it is your kind of friendship, cool. But
Right.
I know at least what I've experienced, it hasn't always been that easy and simple.
Mhm.
Like, I do a lot of self-reflection
Yeah.
because there's times where, like, a friend tells me I did something wrong, and then I'm like,
Right.
"What did I do?"
Mhm.
And then I spend a good time thinking about it, and I try not to bother them and all that.
Mhm.
And I feel like with relationships, it's kinda that way too with what I'm seeing. Like, with Heated Rivalry, there are times in the show they don't talk to each other.
Yeah, I mean, they don't talk to each other for months.
Yes. Like, mind you, they're literally hockey stars
Yeah.
while in this, like, hidden
Oh
relationship.
my god, yeah.
Like, the show itself was insane. Brenna actually introduced me to the show. She had me come over her, college apartment, and us and a friend of ours were watching it together,
Yeah.
and I kept getting irritated with the
Yeah.
time jumps.
I was actually gonna bring that up when you were talking about how, you're like I forget what you said, but I was gonna touch on the time jumps.
Mhm.
I don't remember what the point to it was, but,
Yeah.
um, maybe I was gonna say that's the only thing I really didn't like is the time jumps because I
Yeah.
just felt like we were missing too much, like, we weren't able to well, granted, it is a TV show compared to a book, you're not gonna be able to get every detail,
Yeah.
but
But it's kinda like, what now, you know?
right.
Like, "Oh, they didn't text each other. Oh, they're together. Yay. Oh, they're not. Oh,
Mhm.
Shane's happy. Oh, Ilya's sad," you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's kinda been like that, but you still kinda get the story.
Mhm.
But it kinda ties back to be seen or not to be seen.
Mhm.
What are we not seeing in this show?
True.
Like
That's true because, I mean, that's really reflective of, like, people in their own private lives. Like, take social media, for instance.
yeah.
People post on social media the side they want you to see, the side that is
Exactly.
deemed perfect, you know?
Mhm.
You don't see what's going on behind the curtain, what's going on behind
Right?
the scenes. I mean, and that really is I mean, that's a huge part of the show too, is, like, the fact that their relationship is hidden. They have a situationship for 10 freaking years. It starts off when they're 18 years old,
Now they're like, what, 26, 27?
27, I think, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
and they're still going through the same
yeah,
problems. I don't know if that's unrealistic or realistic to somebody,
yeah,
but it can get real like that,
yeah.
you know? Like, I'm sure not 10 years, but
I hope not, but
situationships
oh my gosh,
like,
yes.
situationship culture has gotten so normalized over the
Yeah,
past few years where it's kind of, quote, unquote, "okay"
yeah,
to kinda be in this complicated state of, "What are we?" type beat.
yeah,
And I feel like for Heated Rivalry, the "What are we?" was a lot more serious than how it is
yeah,
in the real world because it's like, who are they? They're hockey players. They're
mhm,
famous hockey players, and that's all surface level, that's all they
yeah,
can really acknowledge.
yeah,
But under all that thick skin, under all this layer of uniform,
yeah,
they can't really identify themselves like that because it's not something they really honor or
yeah.
really acknowledge for a while.
Which I think that was the biggest takeaway I had from the whole show,
Mhm.
was that metaphorical representation of what are we? Not in the
Mhm.
sense of, like, I mean, it's kind of like a double entendre because it's
Mm.
what are we in the sense of a situationship, like, are we boyfriend, boyfriend? Are
Yeah.
you just like my
Lover.
yeah.
And I think Shane asked that question multiple times to Ilya.
Yeah, I can't I don't know how he words it, but then, like, one of the later episodes, I think it's episode 5, he was like, "Do you feel it too? Like, don't tell me it's just me." And Ilya's, trying to play it off because
Mhm.
if you read the books, he's, like, trying to, like, downplay it because he's, like he feels that this is not gonna go anywhere. It's only gonna end in heartbreak, and he just wants to, like, rip it off like a
But
Band-Aid.
in reality, you know he wasn't feeling
Oh,
that
no,
way.
god, no.
I feel like he was just kinda sticking to, like, his Russian,
Yeah. The expectations,
like
what do people want from me?
mhm,
Which goes back to, like, that whole thing about, what are we? What is to be seen? Um, and so what I was trying to get at is the what are we? You said they're professional hockey players.
mhm,
And hockey in even our world is
mhm,
deemed as this very masculine macho sport.
yeah,
Okay, great. But what are we on a personal, deeper level?
exactly.
They are two just 2 guys. I mean, they start off as teenagers who fall in love with one another and then have to go through the 10 years of hiding that because they feel that they can't be open about it. And
Yeah,
I feel like that was the biggest, like, "Oh my gosh," because people go through that all the time.
yeah,
Hudson Williams, who plays Shane Hollander, was on I think he was on Andy Cohen or something like that. He was on a podcast recently where mentioned that he's had professional, like, athletes, football players, basketball players, hockey players reach out to not only him but the author Rachel Reed
yeah,
and, like, be forward about being like through. Obviously they were anonymous, but they were like, "Hey, I'm I'm on such and such team, or I'm a professional whatever,
yeah,
and I'm still in the closet, but your show resonated with me so much that I'm thinking about being more open about it." And
mhm,
I think that's huge because it's like, well, at least that I know of, hockey
yeah,
is still the only sport where there are no currently openly LGBT
yeah,
associated or affiliated,
yeah,
like, members, which is crazy. It's 2026 and we have not had we've definitely had a gay hockey player, but just never been open about it.
yeah,
And I feel like this show kind of showed that it's okay. Like, you can still look at what they were doing. They're winning Stanley Cups. They're they're going to the Olympics. They're competing at a high level,
yeah,
and they're never letting the relationship ever come in between them and work. It's like how they say you keep business and personal life
yeah.
separate.
Which was always which was always very, like, impressive to
Mhm.
watch because even going through the situationship, they were still actively doing really well in their
Yeah.
sports, and I'm really glad that that's what was going on in the show
Yeah.
because typically in stereotypical
Yeah.
shows and movies, love, like,
Is
overpowers
yeah,
everything.
like a weakness. They always make
Yes.
it seem like a weakness, but in
Mhm.
this one, it was like a strength. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
And I love that it represents that although you can be in love with someone, you don't stop your passion for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure, it's killing them inside, but hey,
Right.
they're still happy with
Mhm.
their performance. Or maybe that's what we wanna think. There's always double meanings with
Oh, for
everything,
sure.
but at least from what I gathered from the show, they although, like, their rivalry is what's keeping them apart, their love is what's keeping them together and hot and it's like challengers, but not challengers.
Yeah.
Be
I've seen that, like, comparison a lot.
Mhm, 'cause for challengers, their love was just strictly the game. And the game was what was tearing them apart. I feel like
Mhm.
that's the big significant difference.
Yeah,
And with Heated Rivalry, they love each other and hockey,
yeah,
and now they're just trying to figure out how to navigate all of that
yeah.
together.
Um, yeah, that was good. It's
Yay.
like you do this for a living.
Oh, please, I wish.
Yeah. Um, yeah, no, I can see that, especially how you're talking about they can still be their public selves while also,
Yeah.
being themselves. They're being their real authentic selves. And me personally, I sobbed during the last episode.
Yes,
There's
she made several TikToks
yes,
about
I
it.
did because I've ne I was talking about this with a friend earlier. I've talked to Brandon about this. I, in high school, had this, like, identity crisis where a lot of the time I was kind of, like, told by a lot of people, "Oh, are you sure you're not bisexual? Are you sure you're not this?"
Mhm.
And I was like, "No, I've only ever dated guys, like, whatever." And it's still at almost 21 years old, still has only ever been guys.
Mhm.
But the way they executed I'm not gonna give I don't wanna give spoilers,
Yeah.
but they executed a scene where there's a conversation between Shane and his mom, where
Oh,
there's basically, like, this back and forth of almost, like, guilt between the 2 of them for not being open and,
and
like
honest with each
yeah,
other.
and feeling like,
Yeah.
feel like Shane feels maybe wrong about something, keeping it from his mom, maybe feeling like he's in the wrong for feeling this way towards Ilya, and his mom feels like, "My gosh, like, I'm so sorry you feel this way, like,
Yeah.
that's on me for not making you feel that you could talk to me about this."
'Cause granted, that was Shane's biggest issue, just how
Yeah,
his parents were gonna feel about it.
mhm, and that's, like and for any, like, gay kid,
Mhm.
that's rough, and so I, again, was told all of, like, high school, "Oh, you're bisexual, blah, blah, blah," and so I feel like because I was essentially being labeled as something without personally taking the time to sit down and think
Absolutely,
like,
yeah.
"Hey, do I actually feel this way? Do I not?"
Mhm.
Um, I think I just, like, pushed it out of my mind and was like, "No, I don't feel that way."
Yeah.
And so when I watched that,
Mhm.
I just immediately, like, was transported back to 17-year-old Brynna
Oh my
and was like, "Oh my
gosh.
gosh." And, like, over the, like, last couple of years, I've thought about it. I mean, personally, I don't know if I ever see myself in a relationship with a woman.
Yeah,
I don't think that's on the table for me.
I mean, like, opportunities are endless.
But it was I think it was nice to see that, and it kind of, like, allowed for myself to accept that part of me to be
Mhm.
like, "You know what? Yeah, I think that is something that's always been there. I just never was able to alone make that decision for myself."
Yeah.
And I also, like and that's like a scary thing to be like, "Oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
do I like one? Do I like the
It's
other?"
kinda like, "Am I a cheerleader?" "I'm a
Yeah.
homosexual."
Yeah. But I think, um
Did you have one of those, what they say back in English class? Did you have an aha
and,
moment?
I think it was definitely like, "Aha," but also like a,
Shoulda
yeah,
saw it
shoulda
coming.
the closet was glass, the
It was
signs
so
were there."
transparent.
Yeah,
And can I just say, I'm so glad that you're figuring this out
yeah,
and you're giving yourself that time and grace to figure this out, and
yeah.
you're not forcing yourself.
Which right, and I feel like that's a huge thing about this show
Mhm.
is that it kind of touches on that theme of, like, I guess, feeling is like a pressure to make a decision like that.
Yeah.
Because our 2 characters are these really public figures who have this reputation, they feel like they have to have this particular image, um, to maintain a sense of relevancy or, like, likableness, um, throughout their careers. I feel like that's something that's really, really crucial right now. Is because, I mean, anybody can go through that that not sensation, but, like, that feeling of feeling as though they're put into a box
Yeah,
or they're forced to make a decision because of what everyone else says.
exactly, yeah.
And in this case, they do make a decision, not exactly based off their careers, but because they finally communicate with one another and they take the time to talk it out and then they are more open and it all comes down to it's my life, um my experiences and the way I feel and choose to live my life
Mhm.
should not be dictated by the expectations of other people. And thank you, thank you.
Mhm.
And I feel like that was just like nailed on the head, especially within those last 2 episodes
Yeah,
of it's my life and I'm not going to let somebody else dictate the way I live my life,
right?
but also it is your life, so take time. I mean, we're all on this floating rock together,
I fear.
and, you know you know, I don't think oh, where was I going with this? I think I'm, like, falling down a rabbit hole.
I
Um,
fear.
but I think it was refreshing to see it put into the perspective of pro athletes because it kind of gives a sense that this can be an experience lived by anyone. And so for audiences to see that and be like, "Hey, these people saw this show." Maybe you weren't expecting that going into it because I sure as heck wasn't.
Me
Even though
neither.
even though I read the books beforehand, I guess I just didn't expect them to be as, like, book accurate because most of the time, like, film and, mm, like, TV show adaptations of books are not 100% accurate to the book, which
Yeah,
is always disappointing. So I guess I wasn't really sure what I was expecting going into it, but the fact that they were, like, so on point made me so happy, but I digress.
yeah,
Um, I think for, like, people who maybe haven't read the book, going into it and seeing that, this is the storyline, this is the setup, this is the material being presented, I think that's refreshing to be like, "Oh, yeah, this is like a lot of people go through this."
yeah,
And it could be that, like, for me, it was just recognizing that there has always been that little piece of my life that I just never really accepted or acknowledged.
yeah,
And, I'm continuing to acknowledge it now. It's not something that, like, I'm making a super public thing or I'm not making it super it's not like I'm making it my personality or anything.
yeah,
I'm still me and, like, I'm a musician. I love, like I'm a big One Direction fan. I love Harry Styles. I love the Red Wings. Like,
yeah,
I I've got my niches, and that's me. Not one specific thing defines me. And I feel like this show nails it on the head that you can be lots of different things
yeah,
and not let one thing, and in this case, sexuality, be your defining factor. And I think they did it in such a modern, but I don't want to use the same word refreshing, but innovative, that's the word.
Innovative. That's a good
They executed it
one.
thank you. They used it in such a modern and innovative way that makes it relatable to audiences of all ages, of all genders, of all backgrounds, what upbringings, whatever you wanna say.
Isn't that refreshing?
It is very refreshing. And yeah, that's why I think it's been doing so great and why it's going global right now.
I feel like this podcast episode is a double entendre because we're literally just glorifying the show, but also
Yeah.
talking about how the show really does represent just like showing love and showing personality and showing life in different ways. And although we did talk about how it should be represented in different ways in other shows and how there should be shows that represent more different queer couples, which I think that representation matters legitimately everywhere, of course. We still want to just give it its props and its kudos for being innovative and showing something different and showing something that is worth watching. And when you introduced me to the show, I was very grateful for that. Because although the show is a lot,
Ooh, yeah. First 2 episodes, you gotta brace yourself. Buckle
yeah,
up.
it's a lot, but hey, we did it.
You did it.
And the show is doing so well, and I'm
Yes.
so happy for it.
Yes.
But yep, I just want to close by saying, Brenna, thank you for being a part of this podcast. I know how much you've been wanting to do this. And spoiler alert, we've been having some technical difficulties during this entire thing. So
Yeah.
I want to apologize in advance. But we've been talking, we've been chit chatting, and everything's been going so well. And I appreciate everybody who's listening, whether it's like one viewer or it's like 20. Each viewer counts to me. And I would love more people on this podcast. And Brenna, I thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
Awesome. Me too. Of course, of course. And this is What Even Is Life with me, your host, Brandon Owens. And I'll see you for the next episode. Later.
Bye.
Bye.